I had been working there for a year or so, and in those days, as many of you will recall, the radio station was in the top floor of the Barclay Hotel. For those of you who are new to town, that was right down at the foot of Redford Street and 3rd Avenue. It was the social center of the world. Who didn't stop by the Barclay Hotel for a social hour? It was a wonderful place. But this was before I was 21 in those days, which didn't really stop a lot of us, but I can remember the night of the tidal wave, I was working the 6 to 12. Now, I can always remember this night as being very quiet, and I would imagine back then that Good Friday was a big holiday and a lot of places were closed. So that night I did the show, a lot of news about the Alaska earthquake. Every newscast between 6 and midnight, which was when we shut her down, was getting progressively more intense. I wasn't particularly concerned. It's going to happen to everybody else but me kind of thinking. But we kept people updated throughout the evening, every hour, and that's about it. Went, closed her down, played God Save the Queen and Oh Canada, and turned off all the stuff, and went down to my car and was going to head for home, and I looked down at Lower 3rd Avenue, and there was water on the road. I looked over at the A&W, there's a car lot there now, but you all remember where the A&W was there? It was full of water. And I said, this doesn't look good. So I was kind of weighing the fact whether I should maybe go home or stay. Maybe I should park my car up on Redford Street. Nah, not gonna happen here. It's Alaska stuff, man. Maybe Prince Rupert, I don't know. So anyway, I decided to go back and turn everything back on, which I did, put a record on, made a couple of announcements about it being kind of floody on 3rd Avenue, folks, if you're still listening. If anybody's out there. And the whole front of that hotel exploded with water. It was incredible. And the only thing I could think of doing was grabbing a remote mic we used for interviews and stuff, faded the record, opened the mic pot, opened the window, which was just an aluminum slider facing out on the road. And according to people who did hear me, 3 or 4, did a play-by-play of what was happening. I went sort of like, oh my God, what's going on? The town is flooding. The 3rd Avenue is full of water. And in reality, what was happening was this was the big surge of the water. And I think everything that was in the Somas Mill grounds came flooding through 3rd Avenue right away. Logs, huge logs, piles of logs, log booms with chains hanging off, lumber of every description, loads and loads of lumber. I couldn't believe the amount of wood, it was just incredible. And the water was surging. I couldn't, it just wasn't going in my head like where all this water was coming from, and everything was going apart. I mean, garbage, it was just, and there's a car floating along with the wood. I didn't even know cars could float, But this one was floating along, and so I looked down, and all the cars in front of me that were parked in front of the hotel were now floating, spinning, turning, and there was my car, floating, turning, and then the lights went out. And so, the morning came. It was very misty, very foggy. The water had slowly been receding, and most of the damage, of course, it was happening during that withdrawal period. And it was just a mud flat out there, covered in wood, covered in cars everywhere. And I had to say goodbye to my poor little Ashman.